The reason we exist is because you cannot stay ahead of all threats. So what we do is we block by default.
Hey, what's going on? You're here with E-Tech Millie, and right now we're just going through the answer portion of the 25 break questions that we previously looked at, and of course this is all about passing the ASE. Let me go ahead and revise a few things. 2 seconds. I'm good. All right, let's go ahead and rock now. So just to let you know, the plan of what we got today is we're going to go over the review of the 25 questions. After you go over the review of 25 questions, we are going to watch a few videos to expand our knowledge, as well as going over at least one PDF about brakes. You know, just because it's, well, I mean, we all kind of know how to do it, so let's go ahead. We'll figure it out. But yeah, let's go ahead and make it happen. All right.
Explanations to the answers for the sample test section 5. 1. Technician A is wrong. If fluid were leaking past the master cylinder cups, the brakes would feel spongy and would not grab. Technician B is right. A misadjusted stoplight or cruise control disable switch could cause the brakes to drag by preventing full release of the brakes. The correct answer is B. 2. The correct answer is D. Binding pedal linkage would cause a hard pedal and perhaps an effective brake system. This is also true for a dented brake line. A plugged compensator port may cause dragging brakes. A weak hydraulic brake hose could cause a spongy pedal. As the pressure builds in the system, the hose may expand and not relay the pressure to the brake units. 3. Answer A is wrong. Free play would not affect pedal feel. Answer B is right. Without some free play, the brakes may not fully unapply and may cause brake dragging. Answer C is wrong. A spongy pedal is typically caused by air in the system. Answer D is also wrong. Leaking primary piston cups can cause a soft and or low pedal and would not affect free play. The correct answer is B. For both technicians are correct. If brake fluid leaks past the primary cups of the master cylinder, the pedal will slowly move downward after the brakes have been applied. The leaking cups would prevent high pressure buildup in the master cylinder. The same would happen if there were a small leak in one of the brake hoses or lines. The correct answer is C. 5. The correct answer is A. A leaking secondary cup on the primary piston could cause an external leak at the master cylinder. Because brake fluid tends to destroy paint, the peeling paint could be a good indication of a brake fluid leak. Answer B is wrong. Since the vacuum booster doesn't normally contain brake fluid, a diaphragm leak would only affect brake operation and would not cause a brake fluid leak. Answer C is also wrong. A leaking secondary cup on the secondary piston would not cause an external master cylinder leak. The leakage would be internal. Answer D is also wrong. If fuel were drawn into the booster would contain the fuel. Fuel also would not cause the paint to peel. 6. Answer D is correct. All of the answer choices need to be completed prior to removing the master cylinder. Draining the master cylinder of fluid is not something that must be done. If it is done, the fluid is removed only after the lines have been disconnected and capped. Fluid should not run out of the master cylinder while it's being removed, so it is easier to empty the cylinder on a bench. 7. Only technician A is correct. The only time the brake system needs to be bled is when the hydraulic system is opened or when air is present in the system. Many brake system repairs are done without the need to bleed the system afterwards. The correct answer is A. 8. Both technicians are right. Excessive pedal effort can be caused by a poor vacuum supply to the power brake booster and by a poorly adjusted brake pushrod. The correct answer is C. 9. The direction a vehicle pulls toward during the application of brakes is the side of the vehicle that has less braking power. If something on the right side were causing the brakes to drag or grab, the vehicle would tend to pull to the side with less braking power, or the left side. Answer A would cause a pull to the right. Answer B would cause a pull to the left, and answers C and D would not cause a pull. The correct answer is B. 10. Whenever a brake line is damaged, it should be replaced. If a small section of the line is bad, a tube can be inserted to repair that spot. This tube and the connections, however, must be able to withstand high pressures and vibrations. Compression fittings do not allow for these. Whenever a brake line needs to be shaped or bent, a tool bending tool should be used. Trying to form the line by hand may result in dents or kinks. The correct answer is B. 11. Both technicians are wrong. Sealing washers should always be replaced and not reused, regardless of condition. These washers distort and lose their sealing ability once tightened and loosened. If the male end of the fitting were tightened after the female end was tightened, the brake hose would twist as the fitting was turned. The correct answer is D. 12. Copper tubing should never be used in brake systems. Copper corrodes easily and can expand due to high pressures. Therefore, answer A is wrong. Brake system lines and hoses must be able to withstand vibrations, the environment, and high pressures. All of the other answers are right. This is an except type question, and the correct answer is a because it is wrong. 13. Silicone-based brake fluid is classified as DOT5 fluid and is non-hygroscopic, which means it does not absorb water. DOT3 and DOT4 brake fluids are hygroscopic and will absorb moisture. The correct answer is B. 14. A metering valve is used on systems with front disc and rear drum brakes. During brake application, the fluid pressure must overcome the force of the brake shoe return springs and force the shoes outward. A little time is required to apply the rear drum brakes. Therefore, the front disc brakes are slightly delayed during light brake applications so that both the front and rear brakes can be applied at the same time. The correct answer is C. 15. In the figure, the pressure gauges are connected to the input side of the valve and to the output for the rear brakes. When the brakes are applied, the proportioning valve decreases the pressure to the rear brakes during moderate brake applications. During the light applications, the pressure is unaffected by the valve. Under heavy pedal effort, the proportioning valve allows full fluid pressure to the rear brakes. Only answer C is correct. The correct answer is C. 16. Both technicians are wrong. The purpose of the load sensing proportioning valve is to reduce brake pressure to the rear wheels as the vehicle lifts in relationship to the rear axle. The raising of the rear of the vehicle causes the vehicle's weight to be thrown forward, which increases the amount of braking force needed to stop the vehicle. By decreasing rear brake pressure, the vehicle will tend to remain flatter and the rear wheels will not as easily lock up. The correct answer is D. 17. The correct answer is A. Only technician A is right. The brake system warning light comes on when there is a pressure difference on one side of the switch and is off when the pressure on both sides is equal. 18. All of the answers are wrong except D. An easy way to check the operation of the brake warning light circuit is to disconnect the wire to the switch and temporarily ground it. If the circuit is fine, the lamp will light when grounded. This is what the switch should do when it is working normally. The correct answer is D. 19. Technician A is wrong. The metering valve should be held open during bleeding. Technician B is right. A pressure bleeder has two separated chambers, one for air and one for fluid. If the air and fluid mixed, there would be no point in bleeding the system, as air would be forced into the brake circuits. The correct answer is B. 20. All of the statements in this question are true or correct, except C. The fluid in the reservoir should never drop below the halfway point. A level lower than that could allow air to enter the system. Because it is wrong, the correct answer is C. 21. All of the statements in this question are true or correct, except C. If the bleeder screw is left open when the pedal is released and moves up, air will be drawn through the valve and enter the system. C is wrong, but the correct answer is C for this except type question. 22. In order to move the air that may be trapped in the brake system, pressure must be built up to force the air out when the system is open. This is the process described by answer B. The other answers relate to pressure bleeding, not surge bleeding, or would allow air to enter the system during the bleeding process. The correct answer is B. 23. When pressure testing a hydraulic brake system equipped with a metering valve and a proportioning valve, the pressure at the master cylinder outlet should exceed the pressure at the rear wheel brakes. The correct answer is D. 24. A springy and spongy pedal is caused by air in the hydraulic system. Therefore, technician B is right. Plugged vents in the master cylinder cover would not allow air into the system, and technician A is wrong. The correct answer is B. 25. The correct answer is C. Both technicians are right. Brake squeal may be caused by bent backing plates, distorted drums, loose linings, improper position of the linings on the shoes, weak or broken hold-down springs, or loose wheel bearings.
All right, so looking how me and Christian scored, we scored like a 55%, which is almost good because you need about a 55 or 60% to pass this. So it's not like you need that 70 or 80%. So I believe it's 60%. Well, I mean 58%, something like that. So yeah, let's move on. So yeah, we're gonna watch a few videos for the most part. Last time we were watching videos pertaining to doing brake jobs, say ball joints. After that, there's also some PowerPoints that I've been going over, but I've not been going over with everyone, because I feel that if you're looking at this might be more of a supplementary thing.
Clunky loose steering. More often than not, it's due to a failing tie rod. That's something that you can do yourself easily and quickly. The problem is, when you replace that tie rod, you throw off your alignment, which means you've got to go pay someone to align your car. We don't want to pay someone to do an alignment. So, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to replace your tie rods, inner and outer, without the need for having an alignment afterwards. And no, it's not just counting the turns. Now, every car actually has an outer tie rod end and an inner tie rod end on each side. This is what actually comes from your steering box or your rack and pinion and pushes the wheel so that your car steers. So when your tie rods wear out, it's not holding your wheel stable, and so your tires wear out faster, and if it gets really bad, this could actually break off, allowing your wheel to completely go sideways, and if you were on the road, that would be incredibly dangerous. Now when you get your car aligned, they use this threaded section where the outer tie rod attaches to the inner as a way to fine-tune your car's toe alignment. But in order to replace this, you actually have to unscrew it completely and you lose that adjustment. That's why normally you have to get an alignment done afterwards. So if you suspect you have a bad tie rod, this is how you make sure. So you're gonna grab the wheel side to side, try to wiggle it left and right. And if the tie rod is bad, especially that inner tie rod, you're gonna get play in the wheel and you're gonna hear it clunking. Next thing is, you wanna get the wheel off and you come down and look at.
Yeah, so if you just grab the wheel when it's elevated off of even a jack stand or whatever, he's talking about that play. You just grab it back and forth, and at that point you can identify that a certain amount of play is not good. So that lets you know that there's something wrong with the assembly.
The outer tie rod, and it has a little rubber booty. If that is split and grease is coming out, there's a good chance that it means dirt and crap got inside there and ruined that joint. So you want to inspect the rubber boot. Also, you want to grab the outer tie rod and try to twist it like this. If it moves really easily, it's failing. The other thing you can do when the wheel is off is you can do that same motion, trying to move it left and right while holding the outer tie rod and while holding the inner tie rod. You'll feel that clunking stronger when you're holding one or the other, and you can kind of figure out which one is bad. That being said,
yeah, so he's just saying play with the tie rod as far as going vertical, up and down, then the inner and outer tie rod, and if there's too much, if it moves too easy or whatever, then we have issues. As far as the rubber, if the rubber is cracked, bent, or broken, as they say, yeah, you know something's going on with that.
Said if you're feeling a clunking on one of your tie rods, you might as well just do them both because the parts aren't that expensive. And you're in there doing it anyway. Before we take anything apart, we need to mark our alignment so that when we put everything back, it's the same. What a lot of YouTube videos will tell you to do is just count the number of turns when you're removing the outer tie rod and do the same number of turns when you put the new one back on. But that's not totally accurate, especially if you get an aftermarket part that...
Listen. Unless you like really a pro, go to the shop. You know what I mean? Like, and I just say that because they have, unless you might have the technology to the alignment plates. If you got the alignment plates with alignment machine and you got jacks or jack at the house or something like that, hydraulic, whatever, yeah, go by all means. But for everybody else, just take a shot, man. It's too much work, bro. Just take a shot. As soon as you get this job done, that's what you need to do.
Doesn't have the same number of threads. So I'm going to show you how to do it exactly. So what you're going to need is some kind of a stick, something straight and rigid that you're going to essentially temporarily attach to your hub. I'm going to put 2 lug nuts back on and kind of lock it in. We don't want this thing moving at all. Snap it off here. So you want it nice and close to the ground because you're going to put a piece of tape on the pavement here. Now we're just going to go to the other side and set it up exactly the same. And while we're doing this, I just want to take a second to thank all of you that have subscribed to the channel. We really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing it. Really helps us out. So now that I have sticks installed on both sides, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to mark right where the stick point is above the ground. And I'm going to do it on this side as well. Now the reason that we're doing this, and the reason we're doing it on both sides, is because we're trying to maintain that toe angle. So it's the relative angle of one wheel to another. So even if I move this, it moves the other side, something gets bumped, we can always come back to those 2 points and know it's exactly where it was before. And lastly, as you're working on your tie rods, you just got to be careful that you don't break the stick, move it, bump it. You want to make sure that it stays exactly the same so that you can get that precise measurement at the end. So we're going to pull this nut off, but it is blocked obviously by this pin. So we're going to straighten out this little pin, wrench on the nut. Some tie rods are oriented on the top on some cars, so you then obviously hammer from the bottom. You can see how this just flopped right down and it's not able to hold itself up. That's a sign of a wearing inner tie rod. The new ones are really stiff. So now we've got to remove this boot, and it's got a little clamp on the...
Yeah, so with the inner tie rod, if it just falls down for the most part with no effort, that lets us know that there's a inner tie rod failure. So it's supposed to be a little stiffer when falling down.
Front end, which you can get with needle nose. And then the one in the back is a little more tricky. So the bands that hold this on from the factory are usually metal and they have a crimp point. You put a screwdriver on it and then you just whack it with a hammer. There we go. So now we're going to remove this outer tie rod. So I'm going to put 1 wrench on the flat spot of the tie rod. Then the other wrench goes on the locking nut. And what I'm trying to do is get them oriented so that when I squeeze the two handles together, it pops them loose. It's tightening, so I need to reverse. So now when I squeeze these together, it's lefty-loosey on the tie rod end. Wow, that's really tight. If it's really tough, like this one is being right now, I'm actually gonna go ahead and slip this back into its hole on the hub really quick. That way that'll kind of hold it. I can even throw this nut back on, a couple threads. So now that that's loose, you can see the tie rod end is loosey-goosey. And this would be the point where you would remove it and count the turns, right? So they would say count this as one turn. But with our method, we don't really need to do this. Then we're gonna take this lock nut off. There's also a flat spot for a wrench on the inner tie rod so you can hold it. Now we can just grab the whole boot and pull it straight out. Now to remove an inner tie rod, you will need a special tool, but just like a lot of tools, you can get this one for free at a big auto shop that does a tool rental program. This is an inner tie rod remover. Basically it has all the different fittings for the different sizes and the actual tool that you will use to crank that thing out. So just to show you how this tool works, because it's a little hard to see in there, I have the new inner tie rod and you can see there's flat spots. So once you find the one that fits, you're gonna set it onto the tie rod sitting in the car, and this tube is gonna grab the little ears and it will then allow us to spin it out of the rack and pinion. So I'm gonna install my little tool piece here. I'm gonna hold it in place while I install the tube. Put my 1/2" drive wrench on the end and I can start loosening, lefty-loosey. Now this will just spin right off. So here's the old one, and if I grab the end of it, this ball joint is really...
I want one.
Hold it in place while I install the tube. Put my 1/2" drive wrench on the end and I can start loosening, lefty-loosey.
Yeah, hold on. Look for something.
Now this will just spin right off. So here's the old one, and if I grab the end of it, this ball joint is really loose. Whereas the new one is very stiff. I can't even move it by hand. Same is true for the old outer tie rod. I can move this very easily, but this one, I can't. It's super stiff. Just as a side note, some inner tie rods will come with an optional washer. Some cars need them, some don't.
Yeah, so when looking at these are devices to move the tie rod. Yeah. I like that device though. I want that one. So inner tie rod tool kit with 13 crowfoot adapters, sturdy 1/2" drive tube for easy removal, made for durable steel, suitable for vehicle repair and maintenance. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and yeah, you know what? Just yeah, it doesn't matter. It's that little part. We'll let that ride. Whatever. Boom. I like that. So that let me know we can get that for the 35. Yeah, cause all I'm saying when it comes down to it, when you be getting in them guts and you be trying to get that tie rod out, oh my gosh, like young bull, go ahead and handle that real quick if you don't mind. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but if you got that device right there, you line that sucker up, shoot, that's easy money right there. Shoot, let's do it.
This one doesn't. One last thing before I put it in, I'm gonna put a little blue Loctite on these threads. Really don't want that thing coming off, that would be dangerous.
Yeah, you're right about that. Okay. That's
Nice and
why
tight.
it be so tight though.
If the boot you took off is split, obviously you want to get a new one, but this one's in good shape, so I'm going to reuse it. However, the band that I broke off is ruined, so we are going to use a zip tie. And it's plenty strong enough. This isn't rotating. It just has to hold there and go like this. One thing I like to do is partially start the zip tie before I install, so I don't have to mess with it deep inside. Now I can slip this boot back to its outer groove and reinstall the clip. Now I'm going to put the locking bolt onto the inner tie rod, screw it all the way to the end. Now I'm going to screw on the outer tie rod. So I'm doing it roughly the turns that I took it out. I'm going to reinstall it into the hub here and see how close I am to my marks. It's a lot harder when this stuff is new because these are really stiff. Okay, I'm gonna put the new nut on, just a couple turns so that it doesn't fall out. As we get ready to readjust the alignment on that left side that we're working on, first we wanna come over to the right side and make sure that this hasn't moved. If it has, you just wanna either turn the steering wheel with a partner, or you can actually sometimes just adjust it here. You wanna get it right back above that line. And back on this left side, before we've even made any adjustments, luckily we're pretty close. Now, if you were way off the mark, you would want to probably pop this tie rod end out, do a couple more turns in or out until you got closer to the mark. But once you get close, you can tighten this bolt and then you can do the fine tuning with the inner tie rod. Just make sure any wrenching that you're doing, you're always double checking that far side mark, make sure that's dead on before you finalize this mark. So now that this is nice and tight, I'm gonna go ahead and put a wrench on my inner tie rod, which is free to spin, and I'm gonna spin it and that will slowly adjust my toe. And then when I get it in the right spot, I'm gonna lock it off. Before I lock everything down, I wanna come and triple check this right side, make sure nothing's moved, and then I know I'm good to go. Once everything is lined up, all my marks are good, I can come in and tighten this lock nut. So what I wanna do here is I'm gonna put the wrench on this lock nut, but then I also wanna put a wrench on the tie rod, because if I just start cranking on this, it's gonna put a lot of pressure on the joint itself, which I don't want. You gotta make a lot of guttural noises, it makes things tighter. So there you go, new inner and outer tie rod has been installed, and the alignment has not changed from where it was before. Now all we need to do is put the wheel back on, and we're good to go. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you're definitely gonna wanna check out our recent one on the top 5 DIY fixes that mechanics love to overcharge you for.
This is the Harbor Freight Scissor Lift. I ordered this when a 25% sale came up, and I've really been wanting one of these. I think it'll work great in my shop. I do want to show you guys some of the videos so you can see just how large it really is. This is a traditional 8-foot bed, and this will not fit all the way forward with the tailgate up. It's actually back a few inches, but regardless, it's a little bit longer than 8 feet, and it's pretty much 4 feet wide. Everything is jammed in this crate in this little box up here. The first thing I notice is this box is beat to all heck and back. Quite honestly, all of the other reviews that I found, there's not a lot to talk about this box being beat up when they got it, and mine was too. The actual unit itself weighs a lot. This was freighted, and I did coordinate meeting the driver. My original plans was to slide this off his truck into mine. Freight trucks sit a little taller, so they didn't quite line up. Honestly, this thing is so heavy, it was just barely manageable by 3 relatively strong guys. And we finally got it on here, but it was pretty much everything we could do just to move this from his truck to this truck. And we did have a pallet jack. It's just so long, the one end wants to fall down and lay on the ground. The pallet jack can't seem to pick that end up. And it's everything a couple of guys can do just to lift the one end. So they're very heavy, keep that in mind. If you have one of these shipped to your house, at the very least, you're going to need a lift gate and a couple of big guys to manhandle this around. I was able to use the little cherry picker bolted to the 3-point on my tractor, and I was able to manage it and get it off by myself. The one thing everybody complains about is the pump assembly gets beat up in the shipping. As you can see, the box is pretty beat up, and the shipper actually told me, if you want to decline it, you absolutely can. This is how we got it. And I said, no, I actually expected this pump to be a little beat up, and I figured I would just make it work, which is pretty much what everybody else does. Why Harbor Freight can't seem to figure out how to package these so they don't get beat up, I don't know. I'm sure it's not really Harbor Freight's problem. It's probably the people they order it from, because you know Harbor Freight is not making these some overseas company. That being said, I was scathed just a little few minor issues that are not going to be a big deal. The cover on the capacitor is just kind of bent a little bit, and he's straightened out and bolted back down again. The wheel on the bottom is completely busted. Not a big deal. I can come up with a wheel. The one thing that surprised me is it's gotten wet. You can see some rust down in here, and if you look at the front, you can see some rust up here. Again, it's actually unacceptable for any company to deliver an item like this, but it is Harbor Freight. It was cheap. We're just going to deal with it. I went down to the hardware store and I bought a couple of steel wheels. They fit on. I did have to take the
Talk about shots fired.
lathe and shorten the shoulders up on them, clean them up a bit. They fit fine, and it does allow me to move this whole contraption around, albeit it's a bit difficult. It's been a few days since I've actually been able to spend some time and set this unit up. I do have it in the garage orientated in the right direction, and I will say that I have it kind of temporarily wired into 220. As you can see, I did buy some decent quality hydraulic fluid for it, and let's test it out. Now, I do know there's a problem, but I want you guys to watch it, and maybe you can listen and hear what's going on. So the way this works is there is a push button, and then there is a valve. The valve is a relief valve. That lets it down. Push button turns it on and pumps it up. It's not very loud. Everything is relatively smooth going. So far, so good. And right there, it's sucking air. My guess is there's probably some type of pickup tube that is supposed to go all the way to the bottom of this container, and it's either bent or has a hole in it or something, and we're picking up air. Now, when I lean this back, I can actually get it to pick up more. So now I have to take this apart and fix yet another problem. So 4 bolts takes the tank off, and the pump actually sits on the top, hangs from this motor up here. And what I found was this piece here, which is supposed to be coupled right here, was actually laying in the bottom of the tank. So we were only picking up at this high, which is probably just a little bit under the fluid level. And once the machine would pick up a little bit, it started sucking air, which we could hear, and that's why it couldn't pick up. That was literally just a compression style fitting. It had a little ferrule in it. The ferrule hadn't been crushed. So either somebody didn't torque the nut down properly and it just slid out over time, or they forgot to tighten the nut down. So it was just a matter of putting it back together and tightening the nut down. It should be good to go now. We'll put it all together and give it another test. Okay, everything's back together, and let's give this a shot and see how well it works. And it sounds really smooth, and it's fairly quiet. And I believe we're past where we were before. That clicking is the safety mechanism right there that it's falling into the grooves. Okay, that's it. Fully extended position. The deck height, as you can see, is just a little bit above 52 inches. And the height to the bottom of the pad is right around 55.5 inches. As with all lifts, this lift does have a locking mechanism. It is controlled by what appears to be a brake handle from a bicycle. And what it does is it drops a pretty hefty hunk of metal down in these slots, which prevents it from falling down, just like a jack stand. Now, there are 7 positions. That was kind of important to me because what I really want to do with this table, or this lift, is to lower it to table height and make maybe a 4x8 sheet of plywood or something, maybe aluminum top or something to lay on top of it so I can use it in my garage as a work table when I'm not using it as a lift. Letting it down is very, very slow, at least without a car on it. And we'll put a car on it here in a little bit and see how well it lifts it. You can see I'm letting it down, and it is very slow. That's probably okay. Good safety factor, I would imagine. As with most of these scissor lift town cars, but I imagine if you had the motor sounded pretty smooth. Okay, not bad. The pump really didn't seem to have any trouble. The motor sounded pretty smooth, and it has lifted the car quite a bit. Now I have a 9-foot ceiling and I have some garage doors and stuff in the way. There is workarounds. Maybe we will take care of that in another video, but you can pretty much move all this stuff out of the way, recess the lighting, and pick up another couple feet. I think this is going to be plenty for what I need to do. To give you a reference, we have the frame about 3 feet off the ground. I do have around 9-foot ceilings, just shy of 9 feet. You can see with the garage door, I was still able to lift the car 3 feet in the air. That being said, you can remove some of this stuff. You can do a roll-up garage door, or even get rid of the bar here, get the car in the garage and lower the door. That'll get you in between the door. You can recess the lighting, and instead of doing a ceiling mount garage door opener, you can do a wall mount garage door opener, which will clear up the ceiling. Maybe in a future video we'll do something like that, so like and subscribe. But for now, I think 36 inches is quite a bit, and that will make this car a whole lot easier to work on. I'm pleased that this lift can lift this car without any issues. Now let's go ahead and let the car down. It does go down a little bit faster with a lot of weight on it, and that was to be expected. Now, I don't know how well you can tell by this picture, but again, this is a town car. I do feel they sit higher than most cars, not quite as high as the older town cars, but you can see there's just not a lot of space between the top of this lift and the lift. So the lift is a little thicker than I'd like to see. Other than that, it does lift this car just fine, and the car does clear it, albeit tight. To move it around your garage, one end has a set of metal wheels, and you are supposed to use the motor pump assembly as a dolly to pick up this lift point here, and then you can push it around, theoretically. Now that being said, it's very tough to maneuver this around. You can do it, but it is tough. It's not something you really want to do all the time. My intention is just to leave it where it is, put some type of tabletop on it and use it as a table unless I need a car on. I'll take the table off and drive the car on. But the bottom line, and I'm sure everybody's asking, is it worth the money? Well, I'm going to say that I had a 25% coupon off, which took $400 right off the top. That made it extremely competitive, and actually I couldn't find another lift this cheap on the market. It is pretty cheap, and it does its job. That being said, I had a problem with this. And if you do a little bit digging around, a lot of people end up with problems with these. They're mainly shipping related. Sometimes this is busted, the switch is busted off, the capacitor's knocked off. And as we've seen with mine, the pickup tube had fallen.
He's just really bad mouthing Harbor Freight like that. Maybe he should have picked it up himself.
Off into the tub, so I had to take it apart and fix that. And then also the top was beat up a little bit on the capacitor cover, and I was able to fix it. One of the wheel was broken, so I had to put another wheel on it. I didn't put a lot of money into it, a little bit of time. I'm going to say it's worth it, but I do think Harbor Freight could do a better job packaging this guy up. I'm pleased with the purchase. The welds look really good on my particular unit. But that being said, if you look online, you look at some of the other people's lifts, their welds can be a little sketchy. I wasn't concerned about it. I would just weld them back up if it was me. But if you're not comfortable with welding, you certainly don't want to do that. You should be able to rely on the manufacturer's welds. That's pretty much all I got for this review. If you like these types of videos, please like and subscribe. I do a lot of build-it-yourself type videos. I make a lot of cool gadgets and things, so take a look at my channel. You might find it.
I mean, I'm not saying like the scissor lift is not something that we can use. I'm not saying it is, but if we do have it, the ceiling height is something you have to worry about. The carrying it around, the way you handle it, making sure, and then making sure that, you know, there's no issues as far as what he got going on, because a lot of what he did, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you wouldn't even got to that point, you know. Some hydraulics are after the fact that he knew something was bent, where it was bent. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, when it comes down to it, he's not new around here. So what I'm saying is, like, working on like box trucks, for the most part, this is not needed because everything's really lifted up high enough. Working on regular vehicles, especially if you're planning on doing it around your house, or if you are in a commercial where you cannot really afford to have a full-blown garage, I can imagine having a exterior structure, like one of them little garages to the side, and having this there, and that would allow you to be able to really make some moves. So this right here will have to come after finding, setting up the right place, unless you could somehow, some way, how can we store it? So if we could store it a certain way, shoot, it'd be like one of them treadmills. We all got one of them treadmills around the house. You was highly motivated one day, and the next day you was like, you know what? This is now a coat hanger. The infamous coat hanger. So let's go ahead and take a look at is it scissor lift? Let's see how much some scissor lifts are running for. We're gonna go shopping. Okay. So, got a few different kind of lists. This right here for 10 bands, 5 bands, 2.5 bands, set 11 bands. Yeah, them things is costly. 3,500. Okay. All right, let's see what we can get for okay. So what they talking about? You probably have to have your own hydraulic tank. Probably air tank. That's what you need too. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, you need an air tank with this one. That's just regular old shop one right there. $2,000. Ceiling height 9 feet 3 inches minimum. 111. What's that? Yeah. Okay, 111 inches. Overall height, floor width 11 feet minimum. 132 inches overall width. Drive through width 96. 8 feet width between posts 106. Concrete slab at least 3 inches minimum. 3,000 psi. Power standard 110 voltage household outlet. No special wiring required. What makes the MT9 different? 3-stage front arms, 110 volt standard power, floor plate design, dual point lock release. What's in the box? We got the columns with floor plate, 4 adjustable lift arms, 3-stage front rear arms, rubber lift pads, truck adapters included, extends reach for lifted or oversized vehicles, And then hydraulic power unit with 3 HP motor, 110 volts, as well as all flooring mounting hardware. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect for home garages with low ceilings. I didn't mean to press that. Not really recognize it, so nope, I recognize that though. So let's scroll back to where we need to go to. Guess they re-emphasize the what is coming in. Okay, so yeah, we looked at this. So lifting, okay, here we go. It's right here, encapsulated it. Home garages with low ceilings, DIY mechanics and enthusiasts, small auto repair shops, side hustle mechanics. So lifting specifications, 9,000 pounds. We already went over the height. We already went over that. Lifting height, 72 inches. 3 HP for the motor. Lift time, 40 seconds. Dual point releases. Electric safety shut off, none. Okay, all right. Truck adapter included. Concrete requirements, 3 feet slab or 3 inch. I think that's 3 inch. 3 inch slab, 3,000 psi. Shipping weight, 1,300 pounds. Oh yeah, a little hefty. That's the reason we have them dang pallet jacks. These got pallet jacks, bare minimum. Okay, 1 year warranty. All right, we're to warranty stuff. So yeah, all right. They got different varieties. So it look like you can get it from 2 bands or $2,000 to $5,000 or 6. All right. Yeah, but what was the one he was using? Well, Harbor Freight 6. Let me see it like this. Let me figure that out really quick. Yeah, that thing right there is only pushing up 6,000 pounds. So with that, you can find a few more options, it seems. So we're putting in Harbor Freight 6,000 pound scissor lift. You see they got some for like 2,000 right here, max 1,900. I see this one for like 690, but that's from AliExpress. I don't know how you feel about AliExpress, but shit, sound like, hey, get it done for the low. Why spend so much if you ain't got to? Get the job done. This right here don't look too bad. Technically speaking, if you have 4 jacks, you can do the same thing if you have 4 stands. All right, 7,000 pounds. Capacity, air, hydraulic, low profile, 1150. Yeah, Northern Tools. I want to find the one he was looking at. So, which one is Harbor Freight? I guess we can't find the one he had. Because I think he said his was like 1,600 or something like that. Because he said it was 25% off. And it was like $400 off from there. So he got that essentially for 1,600 something like. Or is that, 16. They go to 12. They go to 8. They go to 4. Yeah, he got that for 1,600. That's not that bad. Let's go ahead and move on.
The video you yourself
I mean, he got it for 1,200 because it was 25% off.
might like or want to build, and please like and subscribe.
Yeah, before you start the engine, maybe check the coolant hose. If it's cracked or swollen, don't turn the key and act surprised when it overheats. Skip maintenance and run bad fuel. I'll clog up, and you can enjoy that rough idle.
Keep ignoring leaks and rust. I'll just choke the engine and get louder every mile.
All right. Well, it looked like we are now concluded with today's videos. So this was gonna happen. We are because it's so cold. For the most part, we are going to be calling in a little earlier. We're gonna ride out. We are gonna be doing some polishing inside for furniture to help polish vehicles outside. So that will be going on a little bit, and that's with the wrapping training. So I hope that you can learn a little bit about your test taking skills when it comes down to auto mechanics. And this is attempting to go and do the A5. If they are resources for truecarlovers.com, where there's resources that you can find that will help you with the ASE exam, partly with the resources that we're going over right now. I mean, there's some PowerPoints in there that is not here. So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna ride out.
They got declined.